Hello everyone, Assalamualaikum. Very good morning to all. See me again, and our new speaker for today. So basically, for today we're going to continue our second part of today's webinar, which is called Physics in Life, which is part 2. And definitely we're going to bring you a new topic, and definitely with experienced speakers. So before we start with our speaker, so let me introduce you Madam Yaswani. So she's currently with MAHSA University as a physics lecturer. So let me introduce a bit of the education background. So she is actually graduated from University Technology Mara, and her field is actually advanced material. Okay, so without further ado, I would like to pass the today's session, okay, with our please welcome.
Okay, thank you to Ms. Moderator. Okay, for today webinars. Okay, thank you to everyone for joining today webinar. Okay, today webinar title is Hotspot Based Ceramic Road. Okay, this is a presentation outline. Before I explain, okay, detail, I'll share, okay, about the hotspot, okay, in the ceramic roads. Okay, I have an introduction talking about the ceramic, okay, and then I will go to the part which is talking about the hotspot base in the ceramic road. It's talking about the mechanism, and actually it's related to the oxygen sensing characterization. Okay, so next, before we learn detail about the hotspot, okay, on the ceramic road, okay, let's do the basic, okay, for the material, okay, here we have the classification of the material, okay, basically in the classification of the material, we have 4 types of the material, okay, we have metal, polymer, ceramic and composite. But today I'm focusing on the ceramic material, which is low density, high melting point, very high elastic modulus, unreactive and brittle. Okay, let's look the definition. Okay, what is the ceramic material? Okay, ceramic material are inorganic, okay, non-metallic material made from compound of a metal. Okay, for this ceramic material may be crystalline or partly crystalline. Okay, they are formed by the action of the heat and subsequent cooling. Okay, clay was one of the earliest material used to produce ceramic. Okay, has pottery, but many different ceramic material are now used in domestic, industry, and building products. Okay, why I choose that ceramic material? Okay, because of their properties. Okay, so ceramic material are relatively stiff and strong. Okay, strength are comparable to metals, very hard and extremely brittle. Okay, highly susceptible to fracture. This material low electrical conductive. Okay, and more resistant to high temperature. One of the ceramic metal that is the oxide ceramic, it can become a magnetic behavior. Okay, next. Okay, and today I also going to focus. Okay, I'm focusing on the advanced material. If you refer to this slide, if you refer to this figure, okay, the classification of the material. Actually, for the classification of the material is depend on the application. Okay, under the ceramic material, you can see different type of the ceramic material. Okay, the importance. Okay, the application you can refer. Okay, the ceramic metal it depend on the application. Okay, example here you have the glasses, clay product, factories. Okay, abrasive cement, and you have an advanced material. Okay, but today, okay, I will going to the part which is under the advanced material. Okay, now I'm focusing into the sensor. Okay, next. Okay, you rely or you are not rely, actually sensor is around you. Okay, they have many application of the sensor. This is example, okay, for the sensor is around you. Okay, but today I will focusing on the gas sensor. Okay, they can sense the different concentration of the gas. Okay, and then you can see the output on the current produced. Okay, so let's look. Okay, the gas sensor. Okay, the gas sensor basically here is okay what the ceramic. Okay, by using the ceramic material. Okay, so ceramic gas sensor have played an increasingly important role in the monitoring and control application for in industries and have been constantly developed to improve sensing capabilities and performance. Okay, it's very important, okay, for us to focusing on the performance of the gas sensor, okay, and also the sensing capabilities, okay. Not only for the ceramic gas sensor, not only apply to the industry of automotive, but also in the medical, okay, as well, okay. But today, okay, for the gas sensitive mechanism of the semiconductor gas sensor, okay, I was talking for the mechanism of the gas sensor for the ceramic material, okay, based on the change in the electrical conductivity, okay, of the metal when gas is observed from the surrounding. Okay, so what is the oxygen gas sensor? Okay, what oxygen gas sensor is electronic device that measure the concentration, okay, of the oxygen being analyzed, the concentration of the oxygen is surrounding. So how that your road, how that your ceramic to send the oxygen, okay, to perform the oxygen sensing properties, okay. Works, okay, working on the self-heating sensor, okay, not only have promising characteristics but can be more practical for industrial application. But okay, for most widely used oxygen gas sensor in the world today is zirconia electrode based. Okay, for this ceramic oxygen gas sensor, which detect oxygen gas at operating temperature of above 400 degrees Celsius, need to be activated by some form of external heating. Okay, must have the external heating. Okay, so that zirconia for the zirconia element for this ceramic material will works, okay, become of the oxygen sensor. Okay, but the more interesting here I would like to focus is hotspot ceramic rods, okay, which is this ceramic, okay, rod much simpler and self-heating oxygen sensor, okay, by using the material, okay, Re barium copper oxide, okay, area ceramic, okay. For this one, okay, is easy to fabricate, okay, so less cost of the fabricate, so much practical in the industrial as well. Okay, for this self-heating oxygen sensor, okay, using the red earth barium copper oxide ceramic is based on the formation of oxygen sensitive hotspot, okay, application by the external water you need to apply, okay, on that the rod or the ceramic rod, okay, to produce or to form of the oxygen sensitive hotspot. Okay, for this phenomena, okay, first discovery of the hotspot based Re123 oxygen sensing element by the researcher, okay, Takata, okay, for the element Rs123 or uranium 123 where the output current is sensitive to oxygen partially pressure concentration after the appearance of the hotspot at the room temperature. So meaning that the hotspot can sense the concentration, okay, for the oxygen partial pressure at surrounding at the room temperature. Okay, so why we choose the rare earth barium copper the ceramic material, okay. So Re, okay, why lithium and almost a rare earth element, okay, can be agreed with the other rare earth element, okay. This is the ceramic known as high temperature superconducting material, okay, typically a non-stoichiometric oxide, okay. If you refer to that structure, okay, on the plane, okay, on the top and the bottom, they have a copper oxide change, meaning that they have a different of oxygen content on that structure, okay. So for this behavior, this structure, okay, is autonomic at the high oxygen content, meaning that the data on that the compound is very low, Okay, then change to the tetragonal, the structure of that compound to tetragonal at the low oxygen content, which is you have high value of your data. Okay, if you refer to that the compound. Okay, for this, okay, the difference of the oxygen content, the oxygen content in the compound, the ceramic compound, they will produce electrical properties strongly depend on oxygen. On next, why I choose Re barium composite. Okay, the behavior. Okay, the behavior of the Re barium composite. Okay, at the room temperature, behave as a metallic conductor. Okay, at the high oxygen content. Okay, and semiconductor, and behave of semiconductor at the low oxygen content. Okay, when talking about the compound, this ceramic compound, okay, above resistivity above 400 degrees Celsius, the resistivity increase with the temperature. Okay, when the temperature increase, the resistivity also increase. Okay, that's related to the positive temperature coefficient of resistivity, PTCR behavior. Okay, so at that point, okay, this caused by the decreasing oxygen content with the temperature. When you have your oxygen content is very low, so positive or the positive temperature coefficient resistivity increase. Okay, with also the temperature. When the oxygen content decreases with the decreasing oxygen partial pressure, which is equal to the concentration of the oxygen, the resistivity will increase as oxygen partial pressure decreases. Okay, so for this material can be explored as an oxygen sensor. Okay, next, formation of the hotspot. Okay, previous study shows that microstructure defect point on the sensor rod is essential for the formation of the hotspot, and triggered by the higher potential drop across the point caused by the applied joule heating at that point. Okay, when you apply the voltage, okay, when you increase the apply voltage, the current also increase. Okay, and then what happened at that point? Oxygen, okay, oxygen will release from the heated point compared to the rest of the road. Okay, so at that point, the resistance of that point become higher than the rest of the road. So when the resistance increase, the temperature also increase. The temperature of the point increases with the increasing apply voltage. Okay, which this turn increases resistivity further until the point become a hot glowing spot known as a hot spot. Okay, so spot appearing. Okay, on this ceramic material, on these ceramic rods, okay, once a voltage exceeds a certain value. Okay, if you refer to this current voltage behavior, you can see that behavior of the formation of the hotspot. Okay, you have a spot size. Okay, once appearance of the hotspot, okay, the current, okay, what happened to the current? The output current is constant. Okay, and then when you increase the voltage, the spot of the sign also increase. It shows that the glowing, okay, the glowing or the spot can descend of the oxygen sensor as well. Okay, next, the previous study also showed the influence of the spot temperature on the oxygen sensing response behavior with the other material or the other element on the red earth element. Now we have ER123 compound, which is ceramic rod. Okay, so the figure clearly show the hotspot formation starting from a point glow which grow in the size. Okay, they are growing in the size and covered by the increase in the visible color temperature with the applied voltage, or at the same time the temperature also increase. Okay, this observation has evidence that the visible hotspot formation start from the single point heating before growing in size. Okay, this study also showed that it suggested that a microstructure defect on, okay, on the sensor rod, okay, at the point have caused a higher that got the potential drop across it and lead to the electrical heating. Okay, most of the temperature is above 500 degrees Celsius. Okay, next, We are going to the oxygen sensing characteristic. It's very important when talking about the oxygen sensing. We need to see the characteristic, how they can perform as the oxygen sensing. Okay, when you change the concentration of the oxygen surrounding. Okay, so the previous study suggested at the oxygen sensitive hotspot. Okay, when the oxygen partial pressure is raised. Okay, then the material absorb oxygen which dissociate into holes and oxide ion. Okay, so now when you have when appearance of the hotspot, okay, when you increase the oxygen concentration, okay, at surrounding, the material will absorb the oxygen, absorb oxygen will extrude into the hole and oxide. You can refer also to this equation. Or similarly, okay, when you have your oxygen concentration is reduced, okay, and then the material dissolve oxygen and extrude into hole and oxide ion. Okay, so the net reaction involved during the absorption and dissolution. They have a process of absorption and dissolution of the oxygen gas at the formation of the hotspot on the sensor rod. Okay, so oxygen here is referred to the intentional divalent oxide ion, and H is referred to the whole, the concentration of the whole concentration in the hotspot. Okay. Oxygen absorption produce significant change in oxide ion and also the whole conductives, okay, which was used for purpose of oxygen detection. Okay, if you refer, okay, to this figure, the current, okay, the output current after appearance of the hotspot clearly and strongly it depends on the oxygen partial pressure. That is quite good, okay, when talking about the oxygen sensing characteristic. Okay, so without the external heating, okay, so they can perform, okay, it can work, become the oxygen sensing, okay, which is self-heating. So here you can see after appearance of support, when you change the concentration of the oxygen, okay, the oxygen partial pressure, so the current, the output current also different. It depends on the concentration of the oxygen at the surrounding. Okay, next. For the oxygen sensing characteristic, okay, it's talking also about the sensitivity. Okay, the sensitivity for the sensor rod. Okay, for here the mass action law for equation 1. Okay, here, so the concentration is the equilibrium constant. Okay, so from this equation, the constant of the interstitial oxide ion, okay, with the whole and divide by the oxygen, the concentration of the oxygen. Okay, finally, arrangement of that equation, we get the whole, okay, the concentration, the whole concentration proportional to the oxygen partial pressure, okay, which is over 1/6. Okay, since talking about the electrical conductivity, since the conductivity is proportional to the whole concentration, so meaning that the conductivity is proportional to the oxygen partial pressure. Okay, so how to prove? They prove by using the graph. Okay, the sensor right here be more sensitive at the low concentration. Okay, so when they plot become to the linear graph, okay, they can prove the slope. The slope value is very close to 1/6. Okay, so graph law of the output current versus the law of the oxygen concentration. Okay, the slope value of the sensor very close to 1/6 for the ideal. So ideal case of the oxygen excess material, which is given the equation 3 here. Okay, the whole is proportional to the oxygen partial pressure. Okay. So next, for the oxygen sensing characteristic is very important, okay, to see the output current respond for the repeated switching of the oxygen concentration on the hotspot, okay, which is on the base ceramic rod, okay. So here you have the SM barium copper oxide. You can see the performance or the stability or repeatability of the output current. Okay, the current repeatability, okay, during the appearance of the hotspot, which is based on SM120 oxygen sensing element, okay, to be excellent. Okay, the oxygen sensing characteristic for the repeating switching of the oxygen concentration at the surrounding between 20%, okay, to 100% for a period of 20 seconds each for that the ceramic rod, okay, percent of the spot, okay. So you can see the time is very fast, okay, within 20%, 20 seconds, okay, when you change the concentration of the oxygen, okay, at the surrounding, the current passing, okay, the current passing through the increase, okay, when the oxygen concentration change from 20% to 100%, okay, and then in the case of changing oxygen concentration from 100 to 20%, okay, the current passing through drop rapidly, okay, to the initial level, so that the current repeatability, okay, for this type of the ceramic rods, okay, oxygen sensing element to be excellent. And this study also show the response time, okay, of the several seconds is almost the same as that of the limited current, which is type on zirconia electrolyte. Okay, one of the oxygen sensor which is operating at 500 degrees Celsius. But for this type of the oxygen sensor need to be activated by using the external heating. Okay. Next, for the oxygen sensing characteristic, we have other material which is red barium composite, but now you have erbium, okay, substitute or replacement on the red earth element. Okay, you can see that the oxygen sensing characteristic, and now I'm focusing on the output current response for the repeating switching of the concentration of the oxygen. Okay, the oxygen partially pressure 1 to 100%, okay, change switching between 1% to 100%, okay, of the oxygen concentration at surrounding, okay. So output current stability and reproducibility will improve when there is an increase the hotspot temperature. So the temperature is also one of the important, okay, part, okay, to perform the good for the oxygen sensing. Okay, so you can see here the stability and the reproducibility will improve, okay, when the increase of the temperature. So temperature initially you have got around 400, something like that, okay, and then increase, okay, to 700, and then increase to 800, okay. So temperature is very important to make sure that the oxygen sensing, okay, the output current stability and reproducibility improve. And then also the response time, okay, the response time, one important characteristic or the parameter when talking about the oxygen sensing is talking about the response time, how they can respond the response time for the oxygen sensing, okay, for this material, for these ceramic rods, okay, was found to decrease, okay, with the increasing hotspot temperature, okay, with minimum of 0.50 second recorded at the temperature around 700 degree, 1% for the oxygen concentration, okay. Next, for the other material, for the other ceramic rod, okay, which is on the rubium, okay, for the material, but now you have a magnesium substitute into the red earth here, okay. Output current stability and the reproducibility will improve when there is an increase in the hotspot temperature, okay, on that material of the sensor rod, okay. So you can see the stability, okay, the stability of the current, okay, when the increasing of the substitution of the magnesium in the compound, okay. So the stability will improve, the productivity will improve when you have a higher substitution of the magnesium, okay. And also it's very important to focusing on the operating voltage, okay, the higher operating voltage also important. You can see that the increasing, okay, on Y or substitution of the magnesium 0.4, okay, and attain better stability and the response time, okay. The higher spot temperature for the magnesium substituted rod, and their faster absorption and desorption time. So it shows that okay, when higher hotspot temperature, when you substitute for the magnesium, okay, which is referred to the Samirot, they can be the response time can improve. Okay, meaning that faster in absorption and desorption time at the hotspot. Okay, for this faster, okay, we're talking about the faster absorption and desorption is suggested due to the higher porosity and vacancy concentration on the formation of the hotspot. Okay, the material of the ceramic rod, okay, which enhance the oxygen diffusion in the hotspot area and sustain hotspot heating. Okay, so this is an example of the glowing of the hotspot during the changes of the oxygen concentration. Okay, so next, previously I explained that it's related to concentration. Okay, scanning electron microscope image of the internal stage of the rod before spot formation. Okay, so the SEM image can show that the average grain size, okay, of the compound of the ceramic rod, okay, and show that the porosity, when you increase the magnesium into the red earth, okay, the porosity also increase. Okay, the larger the values among the sample, and the higher for this porosity for the magnesium substitute rod, okay, facilitate oxygen diffusion in the hot spot. Okay, so I would like to recommendation, okay, meaning that so you can see different type of the substitution of the reactor in the RE1 to 3, okay, show that the performance of the oxygen can be improved. So actually for this hotspot is a short rod. So introducing for the shorter rod of the sensor will give more advantages due to its lower operating voltage, okay, and a lower power consumption and more mechanical stability compared to the previous reported the longer rods. Okay, if the operating hotspot temperature can be lower, thermal stress reduce and then practical, okay, practical in industrial, okay. And next, a high performance of the new type of oxygen sensor is essential before introduced in alternative to the existing oxygen sensor available in the market. Okay, again for the oxygen sensing characteristic and the properties is very important to focusing on the reversibility, how that long-term stability of the size, okay, with the temperature, because sometimes the temperature is above 800 degrees Celsius, okay, and then also the size, okay, much practical if the size of the sensor is very small, okay, a short road, and also the power consumption performance of oxygen sensor. So I hope that this knowledge, okay, the idea, okay, give you idea of the or the basic knowledge, okay, so that can further study, okay, and enhance our understanding on the mechanism of the oxygen properties with the hotspot formation involving the red earth 1 to 3 system or the red earth 1 to 3 compound ceramic rods. Okay, so I think it's a quite interesting, okay, to you to if you want to further your study, okay. So because I think a lot of knowledge, okay, the idea, so that can be produced one of the practical of the hotspot ceramic in the industrial webinars. Okay, today's webinar. Okay, I would like to pass to the Miss Moderator for today's webinar. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much, Madam Siti Azwani. Very interesting, very fruitful explanation from you. So hopefully those viewers for today, hopefully you can grab the idea of the suggestion that she has recommended just now. And for those viewers who are actually interested with this topic, I believe this hotspot ceramic is very good, very interesting topic to be explored. Okay. So on behalf of MAHSA University, I would like to thank all guests, the viewers, including Madam Siti Nazwani for the sharing session, and as well as the viewers out there. And before we end our session, we would like to highlight to please repeat that and don't forget to complete the form like that already in the website. Okay, and don't forget that we have also our next session. We are not finished yet. We just not having fun. We're not serious things here. So we have another session. So this online session will be held in 27th for the about the research result. In this online session, we have and something that you grab for your own. So if you are interested to contact us, and that's all for today. So thank you very much everyone. Assalamualaikum.